Well, for this cheese preparation, we will use 4 gallons or 15 liters of pasteurized and homogenized milk. It is not ultra-pasteurized, just pasteurized and homogenized. We will add it here in this pot and place it in a bain-marie to control the temperature, bringing it to about 37 degrees Celsius to begin adding the other cultures. In addition to the milk, we have the following cultures. Mesophilic culture, we have 1/4 teaspoon of Flora Danica. Propionic bacteria, for the 15 liters, we have 1/8 teaspoon of Propionibacterium Shermanii. Calcium chloride solution, this is a 33% solution, and we are adding 1/4 teaspoon per gallon. Since we have 4 gallons, we will add 1 teaspoon, diluted in 1/4 cup of distilled water. Coagulating agent, we are using animal rennet. For 2 gallons of milk, half a teaspoon is added, so for 4 gallons, we will add 1 teaspoon of animal rennet, also diluted in 1/4 cup of distilled water. Now, the bain-marie temperature is already at 37 degrees Celsius, and inside the milk, we also have 37 degrees Celsius. So, we will now add the cultures so they can develop, and then we will wait 1 hour for maturation. Finally, we will add the calcium chloride and the rennet. First, we'll start with the Flora Danica. I'll sprinkle it evenly over the surface of the milk. Then, we'll add the Propionibacterium Shermanii and sprinkle it over the surface as well. After that, we'll cover it and let the cultures rehydrate for 5 minutes. I'll show you what it looks like after that. The cultures have been rehydrating for 5 minutes, so now I will stir to mix them well throughout the milk. Stir thoroughly, from the bottom to the top, to ensure even mixing. Then, we'll let the cultures mature for 1 hour. I will cover it and leave it to mature for 1 hour. After 1 hour, the milk will have matured, and will be ready to add the calcium chloride and the rennet. Add the calcium chloride slowly while stirring, then continue stirring to mix it well. Finally, add the rennet gradually, also stirring from the bottom to the top to ensure the rennet is evenly distributed throughout the milk. Now, we will wait 1 hour for the milk to coagulate. I'll cover it and let it sit for an hour. After an hour, the milk has coagulated perfectly. Now, I'll make cross cuts to allow the whey to start separating. Make the cuts about 1 inch apart. They don't need to be perfectly straight. Cover it and wait 10 minutes for the whey to separate through the cuts. After 10 minutes, I'll make smaller cuts with a knife. This process will take about 20 minutes to form smaller curds that settle better. Stir slowly during this time. Remember, the temperature is still at 37 degrees Celsius. Now the curds are in small grains. After stirring for 20 minutes, we will let the grains settle at the bottom and remove 30% of the whey. For 15 liters of milk, this means removing about 4.5 liters of whey. Then, gradually add water heated to 60 degrees Celsius to raise the temperature of the curds to 39 degrees Celsius. This step should take about 20 to 30 minutes. Once the curds reach 39 degrees Celsius, stop adding water and let them rest for 10 minutes to decant. Then, transfer the curds to the mold lined with cheesecloth. Perform a pre-pressing while submerged in the whey using 8 to 9 pounds of weight for 20 minutes. After pre-pressing, transfer the cheese to a dry pressing setup. Cover it with the cheesecloth, place the follower, and press with 8 pounds for 30 minutes. After this, flip the cheese and press again, but this time increase the weight to 26 pounds for 4 hours, flipping the cheese every hour. As the cheese is turned, it gradually takes a better shape. Here, this would be after the first hour. Then this would be the second hour, and the shape improves significantly. Here, we're on the third turn, and it's improving even more. And finally, after the pressing process, this is the final shape it takes. Now, we're going to place it at a temperature between 27 and 29 degrees Celsius. It will stay at this temperature for about 3 hours so that the cheese continues to acidify. After those 3 hours, we'll then move it to a temperature between 16 and 18 degrees Celsius. It will remain there for approximately 8 hours. So, once the 8 hours have passed, we're going to place the cheese in the brine. In this case, it will be an 18% brine. We'll place the cheese in a container and then pour the brine over it to cover the entire cheese. Basically, the goal is to keep it there for about 16 hours. We'll continue adding brine and use our hands a bit to help the cheese start floating and detach from the bottom of the container. Here, I'm helping it along, and now it's detached. At this point, I'll sprinkle salt on top, approximately 1 to 2 teaspoons. Here, I'm adding half a teaspoon, then another half teaspoon, and I can even add a bit more. So far, I've added 1 teaspoon. Now, I'll add another half teaspoon, and I'll leave it there for a period of 8 hours. After those 8 hours, I'll flip it over and spread the same salt on the other side. I'll keep it there for another 8 hours before finally taking it out. After taking it out of the brine, it is placed on a tray with an absorbent paper underneath to drain all the excess water. It will stay there for 3 days. This is the state of the cheese after 3 days of drying, and it will be ready to be painted with wax. For waxing, melt orange wax in a bain-marie. Dip the cheese to coat one side, then let it dry with a fan before coating the other side. Ensure all sides are evenly coated by dipping multiple times if needed. Once waxing is complete, the cheese is ready for long-term aging. Store it at specific temperatures for 4 to 5 months. I'll share updates and a new video once the cheese is ready to be opened.